Book 4 of the Harry Potter series, The Goblet of Fire. This book starts off with us about 50 years in the past, watching the Tom Riddle family be massacred, and a village kind of assuming that the groundskeeper is responsible for the murders, but we know he's not. They could never prove it though, so all these years later, about 50 years later, the groundskeeper is still watching over the family mansion. It's present day now, and we watch the groundskeeper see a light on in the abandoned mansion. He's very confused by this. He goes up to the mansion to investigate, and we see him see Wormtail, otherwise known to us as Peter Pettigrew, trying to take care of a creature that seems to be very ugly and horrible and disfigured tiny little creature we assume is Voldemort. And Voldemort orders Wormtail to kill the groundskeeper, and he does. So we get to watch a murder happen, and we get to watch a bunch of murders right at the beginning of the book, and it's a very intense tone shift for the Harry Potter series, which has already been happening in Prisoner of Azkaban, but Goblet of Fire really kicks it into, the next gear, having this real sharp turn to a much darker series. But after this, we wake up with Harry Potter, because he actually just witnessed these events in his dreams, and he is very concerned that Voldemort is coming back, because he knows what he saw is real, and his scar is hurting, the scar that Voldemort gave him. Due to his fears, Harry Potter writes to his godfather, Sirius Black, asking him what should he do, what does Sirius Black think of this, and basically just being overall very concerned. Obviously, the guy who murdered his entire family is coming back. Luckily for Harry, he gets invited by the Weasley family to go see the Triwizard Cup this year with them. The Triwizard Cup basically being the Super Bowl for Quidditch, so he gets to get away from the Dursleys because he's still living with them and go to this cup instead with the Weasley family. So he does go to the Triwizard Cup with them and has a great time watching the match, but that night some kind of horrible event happens, and soon after, a bunch of Voldemort's supporters show up and start burning everything and causing a massive panic. Harry gets caught up in the panic and loses his wand, and all kinds of messed up things start happening, and a dark mark, Voldemort sign, is thrown into the sky. Later on, Harry's wand is recovered from a house elf named Winky, and it's found out that Harry's wand was used to cast that dark mark into the sky. So Harry is actually now connected with this incident in a you might be responsible kind of way. After this, though, our trio is quickly at Hogwarts, and we learned that same house elf Winky was fired from his family for being connected to that incident and is now working at Hogwarts along with the house elf Dobby that previously Harry has worked with. Hermione begins taking real issue with the fact that these house elves are being treated the way that they are, and she starts a group called SPEW, S-P-E-W, something about the treatment of house elves, to try and get rights for house elves. So now we get to see Hermione actually getting politically active, and political activism is always a win. Harry and Hermione kind of begrudgingly join her group, but a lot of people kind of tell her, like, hey, don't mess with the status quo, don't rock the boat, which is never a good counter argument to someone taking issue with the way things are. A new defense against the dark arts teacher is, of course, once again put in place, this one named Mad-Eye Moody, and he is a wizard who actually has a lot of experience fighting dark wizards and a close friend of Dumbledore. Harry very quickly actually becomes to like Mad-Eye Moody quite a bit, and the two of them get along and kind of spend a lot of time together throughout the year. But now we learn of the Triwizard Tournament, which is this huge international tournament between European wizarding schools, where the schools all come together and send their best students to compete in this inter-school tournament, and very much so life or death challenges, because the wizarding world does not have child protection laws, and so the schools are all coming to Hogwarts this year, or this time around, to do the Triwizard Tournament. So a bunch of students' names get put into a goblet. You have to be 17 years old to try and partake in this. Harry's only 15, I believe, at the time. But when the names are drawn out, Harry's name actually does come out, which means Hogwarts actually has two students competing, Cedric and Harry. Which is very wrong, and Harry is immediately interrogated about this, and it's considered not letting him compete regardless, but because his name came out by the rules, Harry has to compete in the Triwizard Cup. So now a 15-year-old kid is competing with 17-year-old kids to try and win these life or death challenges. This actually makes Ron very jealous, because as we know from previous books, Ron's biggest life goal is to be some kind of hero or ambitious person, and seeing Harry get this role kind of makes Ron extremely jealous, so the two of them start fighting. Now there's also a reporter during this time that's harassing Harry named Rita Skeeter, and she interviews him and then publishes this horrible article that kind of really embarrasses Harry, and it's quickly shown that Rita Skeeter does not really care about facts. She just wants to sell a salacious article. So she does this to Harry, and it really makes him angry. First trial of the tournament happens, and Harry has to get on a broom and steal an egg from a dragon. He does, because it's him and a broom, so he's fine. But after this Harry almost dying incident, because every trial you almost die, Ron and Harry quickly patch things up, because Ron's like, hey man, man, this is scary as shit, and Harry and him are cool. Now it's time for Harry's greatest challenge, hormones, because there's a thing called the Yule Ball that happens along with the Triwizard Tournament, and Harry has to ask a girl, and so of course he ends up taking some random girl who's not really affiliated with the group but we never really met before, and Ron takes that girl's twin sister, and Hermione gets taken by some other competitor, which makes Ron extremely jealous, and Ron says a bunch of really hurtful things, and him and Hermione kind of just clearly can't acknowledge the fact they like each other, even though no one wants Ron and Hermione together. They're not a good match, but whatever. And so this whole side plot of emotions and things happens as well. Now, Rita Skeeter actually publishes another article at this time coming at and attacking Hagrid for being a half giant, which is a big no-no in the wizarding world. This upsets Hagrid to the point where he almost quits, but the group convince him to stay, and Hermione kind of makes it her goal for the year to figure out a way to stop Rita Skeeter from doing what she's doing and figure out how she's learning all these kind of private facts about people. At this point in the tournament, Harry and the other Hogwarts competitor Cedric actually begin kind of talking and helping each other out with some tips. Cedric's a nice guy, and so they're just kind of going back and forth and showing, hey, we're not like gonna let each other die, we're gonna have each other's backs in a little bit away, which is cool and lets us know that Cedric is kind of a dope dude. And Harry and Cedric actually tie for first in the second task, which is pretty, actually, I think it's said like that's never happened before, but it's cool that they tie. Now for the third task, there is a gigantic maze that they have to get through, and all the competitors sprint into this maze, and quickly things kind of go to hell. Harry sees one of the competitors from a European school using an illegal torture curse on Cedric, the Hogwarts student he's been getting along with, and Harry intervenes and knocks the other student unconscious, and him and Cedric kind of continue through the maze together. Harry gets pretty badly wounded by a spider at this point, but Cedric won't leave him behind, and him and Cedric actually go to the cup that's at the middle of the maze that whoever grabs it first wins, and grab it at the same time so that Hogwarts can tie and have two champions. Fortunately, though, this cup does not take them to where they need to be back in Hogwarts. It takes them to an abandoned graveyard. Almost immediately after they arrive in the graveyard, Cedric is murdered right in front of Harry by Wormtail, otherwise known to us as Peter Pettigrew, Voldemort's servant. Peter Pettigrew then cuts open Harry's hand, cuts off his own hand, and puts the bones of Tom Riddle into a cauldron, making a potion, and then puts that creature we saw at the beginning of the book into the cauldron. And Lord Voldemort comes back with a full normal body at full power out of this cauldron. As soon as Voldemort comes out of the cauldron back at full power, all of his followers kind of amass into the graveyard as well. We get to see all kinds of familiar faces and learn that he has some pretty evil dudes in high positions that work for him. Now, Harry is still incapacitated at this time, and Voldemort actually lets him have his wand back and actually wants to duel Harry Potter and prove that he can kill the boy who lives once and for all. And he's clearly very confident in the fact that he can easily kill Harry. Now, when this duel starts, there's something strange happens with Harry and Voldemort's wands, and we know that their wands are actually kind of connected from the first book, but their beams of light kind of come out of their wand and connect, and all the ghosts of people Voldemort has killed start popping out of his wand in a very dramatic show, including Cedric and other people and Harry's parents. So a lot of drama happens with that, and these ghosts actually give Harry the distraction he needs to sprint away from the duel, grab the cup and Cedric's body, and take them back to Hogwarts using the teleporting thing correctly. I don't know why it took them back to Hogwarts now. You think they'd set it up so they'd only send them to the graveyard, but now they go back to Hogwarts, and the whole school is shocked when Harry shows up with a dead competitor, and it's very dramatic. Quickly, Mad-Eye Moody grabs Harry and takes him away from the situation and back to his own office. Harry starts realizing things are kind of going wrong with Mad-Eye Moody, and Mad-Eye Moody even confesses that he put his name in the Goblet of Fire. He rigged up the goblet to be a portkey to send Harry to that graveyard. And Mad-Eye Moody seems to be about to kill Harry when three other professors, McGonagall, Dumbledore, and Snape, come in and all stun him at the same time. And we then see Mad-Eye Moody turn into someone else. This person being Bartimaeus Crouch Jr., a former servant of Voldemort who was the son of a powerful wizard and was convicted of torturing Neville Longbottom's parents to the point of insanity. He was in prison. His dad helped him get out to be placed under house arrest instead, but Winky the house elf helped him get out and actually attack the Triwizard Tournament. So kind of Bartimaeus Crouch Jr., not Senior, his father, Jr., has been behind almost all of this. The real Mad-Eye Moody has been in his trunk this whole time. That sucks for Mad-Eye Moody. Now, the way he actually assumed Mad-Eye Moody's identity is by drinking the same polyjuice potion that Harry and Hermione used in the second book. Of course, Harry tells Dumbledore about him seeing Voldemort's return, and Dumbledore sends off messages, of course, to the Ministry of Magic telling them, look, Voldemort is back. Only problem being the Minister of Magic, Cornelius Fudge, refuses to accept this as true, saying, no, there's no way, Voldemort is gone. The way I think about it, it'd be like if you got a letter from someone saying Hitler's back, you'd be like, what? No way. And Barty Crouch Jr. is killed by a Dementor in Ministry custody, so it's really only Harry's word against the Ministries, and of course, he is completely overridden. But it's time for the school year to be over, and Harry, Hermione, and Ron get back on a train to go home. Hermione talks about how she finally got Rita Skeeter to shut up. It turns out Rita Skeeter's been doing some illegal transfiguring into animals, which you have to be registered to do, but she's not, so Hermione essentially blackmailed her into stopping. Pretty cool for Hermione to show some moral gray area, which we all like. And Ron says that Harry can come stay at his house anytime throughout the summer and come visit, but not stay permanently. You still need to live with your abusive family because apparently no one gives a shit about the orphan. That is the 4th book in the Harry Potter series. I believe I got most of the important details there. I skimmed over a few. Honestly, this just isn't my favorite book in the series. I don't really know why. Goblet of Fire just never really struck me as great. I do like it quite a bit, though, of course, still. I think all the books are at least very good. That's pretty much it. I hope y'all are having a great time with this, and I will put up another video again soon, hopefully. Have a great day. Please like and subscribe. Peace.